Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl A. Major, and I want to welcome you to day 4 of the Preempt Pre-Diabetes 5-Day Challenge. Welcome, Vicki. Good to see you here.
Good
Always
to be
nice to
here.
see your face. And we're just getting started. So today we're going to talk about hydration largely. And I've been trying to share a quote just about every day. And today's quote is from Leonardo da Vinci, who knew a few things about a few things. And he said, water is the driving force of all nature. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And I know that for some people, you say water and people say, boring, don't like it, don't ask me to drink it. So we're going to explore that. We're going to dig in a little bit today and see if we can suss it out a little bit. So let's start with why water is important. Well, very simply, it makes up 60% of our total body weight, and we cannot survive without it for more than a few days. We can actually survive for considerably longer without food. Water is a completely different story. Our brain and our heart are 73% water, lungs 83%, and even our bones contain water. More than 30% of our bones are liquid, are water. Our largest organ is our skin, our largest growing organ, our ever-changing organ, and that contains 64% water. And every muscle, every joint, cell, every organ in our body contains water. So water is really, really important. And the first place that dehydration shows up is on our skin. So visualize dirt, and a lot of us really dry dirt. A lot of us have been in areas of drought. Up in Massachusetts, we certainly have had our share of drought. It's like powder out there. It's amazing. I've had trees die, and I know I'm not alone. A lot of people are struggling with the drought in the country this year. So visualize dirt when it's really dry. That's the idea of what happens to our skin when we're not hydrating enough. It dries out, it cracks, and we look older than we should. So how much water do we really need? The old adage of 8 glasses of water, or 64 ounces of water a day, is a good place to start. It's easy to remember. It's harder to do for many of us because a lot of us don't like water. And while we do get water from our food, especially from juicy fruits and non-starchy vegetables, we get it also from the beverages we drink, like coffee, tea, juices, and soda. Your best bet is still just to drink plain water. It's just your best bet. There's no question about it. And the odds are, by the time you're really starting to feel thirsty, you're probably getting partially dehydrated. And it's interesting because if you start to feel hungry, if you drink a glass of water, you may find that your hunger goes away, and what you really were experiencing was the beginning of dehydration. So keep that in mind if you're trying to lose weight and control your food intake. So a great way to start your day is with 6 ounces at least of hot water or very warm water with the juice of, you can use half a lemon, half a lime. Sometimes I use orange, but the more sour citrus are probably in your best interest. And it's in your best interest to eat this in the morning before you begin to eat, because it wakes up your digestive system, gets everything primed. Also, if you drink water with your meals, it's best to drink it beforehand and not while you're eating. If you're really thirsty while you're eating, take a sip of a room temperature water, but it's best not to dilute your stomach juices when they're trying to do their job and digest the meal that you're in the process of eating. And you can have a glass of water after you eat too, but if you can avoid as much as possible drinking while you're eating, that's in your best interest. Also, a lot of the pundits steer us away from ice water. It's better to drink water that is more room temperature or a little on the colder side, maybe refrigerated water, but not loaded with ice cubes. I have to confess that I prefer the room temperature or the refrigerated water to ice cube water. And then, if it's a really hot day and I'm really warm, I'll dump a couple of ice cubes in there. But I've gotten so that I really can enjoy refrigerated or room temperature water. So I encourage people to buy a beautiful glass or a beautiful container that they will enjoy drinking water out of. And to make it special, because a lot of people water seems plain and it seems boring. So always keep a glass of water on your desk and try to sip it every 20 to 30 minutes. Take a drink of water. And if you have trouble remembering that, use a timer, use your phone, your iPhone, your Samsung, your Google phone, set it for 20 to 30 minutes. And when it goes off, stop and have a few sips of water or have a glass of water. And it's a good thing to remind yourself. It's a good way to remind yourself not only to get more water, but to take a break. I think you'll find that you'll be more productive if you stay hydrated and you take a break, get up, walk around, drink some water, and then get back to work. So try that. And also try getting a really pretty glass, something that you enjoy, something that's decorated, or a water bottle that you enjoy that might be colorful. If you're drinking out of plastic, please be sure that it's BPA free. That's really important. It's important to avoid BPA, which is it's a chemical that's in plastics, and it can interrupt brain function and interrupt the developmental function of children. And they're doing more research on that, but that's what they're leaning toward in their analysis of it. So also with canned foods, they often use BPA liners. So if you look for canned foods that have a little notice on the can that says BPA free liner, if you're buying beans or canned vegetables or canned fruits, whatever, look for that notice that says BPA free liner. Also, once you've gotten to the success level of drinking 8-ounce glasses or 64 ounces of water a day, you can move on to what the Mayo Clinic says we should be drinking. And that is to drink half your body weight, not your body weight. That would be a ton of water. Have your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, your goal would be 100 ounces of water a day. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you with this, and I like to advocate for taking small steps for big changes with all of these adjustments to your eating and drinking habits. So I'm not advocating at all to do this all at once. I think doing that, just like dieting, making a significant jump, it will probably be unsustainable and discouraging, and you'll just say, forget it, I can't do this. So instead of that, do it incrementally. It's okay to make little changes and little improvements. Add 2 ounces of water every day, 4 ounces if you can, but 2 ounces or 4 ounces every day or every other day to what you're drinking. And that will go a long way toward increasing whatever water you're taking in. Now, in the beginning, sure, we know you'll be heading to the bathroom more often, but after a few days, your body will get used to the change and things will calm down. That extra liquid, it will adjust to it. Another important reminder, it's best to stop drinking, just like it's best to stop eating around 7 p.m. at night. This ensures that your body will go ahead and digest your food, and you'll be less apt to get up in the middle of the night and have to use the bathroom. So what kind of water should you drink? And the answer to that depends upon your water supply. Many people drink tap water, and sometimes it tastes like chlorine because they've added chlorine to kill bacteria and microbes. The downside is that once you ingest this, it continues to indiscriminately kill organisms in your body, and it can put your body out of balance in that way. So it's best to avoid chlorine. So if you install a filter on your tap, or if you use a filtering pitcher, like a lot of people use Brita water filter pitchers, just keep it in your fridge. That's probably the best way to go. If you use a filtering water bottle, that's good too. That way you can just fill it anywhere and you can drink filtered water. It's good for all of us to remember the sorry state that our planet's in, and to use plastic water bottles, plastic disposable water bottles less frequently. Many places now offer water filling stations, so you can just use regular water. And if you put it in a filtering bottle, then you can drink filtered water. And I'm going to make a note to give you a link to a really good quality filtering water bottle. I've had one for years, and I want to share that with you. You can replace the filters so it lasts forever. I must have had this for about 20 years. It's 15 or 20 years, and it's built like a tank. And it does a really good job. You don't taste any nasty stuff. And again, drinking out of a glass is my preference, but plastic is okay as long as it is BPA free. So remember to look for BPA free if you pick up a plastic glass or plastic water bottle. So what I would suggest for you to get to half your body weight in ounces is to take the time, find a picture, take the time to measure out whatever that happens to be. So if you weigh 200 pounds, working in round numbers here, if you weigh 200 pounds, it's going to be 100 ounces. Measure out 100 ounces so you see what it is. It's a great visual to understand how much water your body's going to need to perform optimally on a daily basis. And commit to drinking that amount of water, but don't drink it all right out of the gate. Remember, it's fine if you ramp up slowly and increase it 2 to 4 ounces a day or every other day. Small steps for big changes. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you a couple of different types of water, because people have talked to me, and you're always welcome to send me the ingredient labels if you would like me to take a look. And people do this all the time. They can be tricky, and I'm happy to kind of look through them, walk you through them, point out things that are good about your choices, and point out things that might be improved. Not to tell you you're wrong, to tell you that the companies, big food companies, they're sneaky and they're not as concerned with our health. I've said this many times, as they are with their bottom line. So just remember, you can always email me, Cheryl@thinstronghealthy.com. Just send me a JPEG of whatever it is that you'd like me to look at, and I will always get back to you. Also, please be active in the Facebook group that I've created for this week. Vicki, I know that you've participated already, and I'm grateful for your input there. Grateful for your input there. And Vicki, I know that we were talking about some challenges that you were experiencing. We've discussed this in the past with drinking water. And I wanted to know if you have any updates for me on how you're doing with, I know the Pepsi when you're having a burger and fries or pizza is irresistible sometimes, but how are you doing with your water drinking these days?
Cheryl, I am so happy to tell you this. I've been keeping a habit tracker of every day that I drink just water, no Pepsi or no Coke, no sweet tea. And I have had nothing but water since June the 27th.
Oh my gosh, Vicki. Yay.
You should see my habit tracker. It is all filled in with every day. I have not had anything but water.
I am so proud of you. That is so, I mean it. I am so proud of you. That is not an easy thing to do. And we've talked on a number of occasions about, the Diet Pepsi and how it's triggered by having the pizza or the burger and the fries and all of this. That's huge.
Yes.
That is so
But
huge.
I wasn't drinking any diet drinks because I had quit them. It was all
Yeah.
sugar, which
Yeah.
I know that's terrible too.
Yeah.
But the water, I think, has made a big difference in how I feel, even though I'm still eating a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I'll work on that next, but
Yep.
the water has made a huge difference in the way I feel.
That's wonderful. And isn't it amazing? Because I was going to suggest what differences you might feel. Tell us, share with us what differences you notice with the water.
Well, I've felt more alert, a little more energized. I still get very tired, but that has something to do with, that's something, another issue. But I fill up my pitcher probably at least once a day or every 2 days and drink all of that. So I'm amazed that I was able to do that. I really am.
I'll be honest with you. I'm amazed you were able to do that too. I thought for sure you were going to say the occasional Pepsi when I go out for pizza or burger and fries. That's huge. Vicki, congratulations. I mean it. I am genuinely.
Pizza and water, popcorn and water, believe it or not.
Wow. Yay, you. That's huge. That makes me feel so good, because that is a huge step toward changing other things. And it's this one thing at a time, rather than the diet that's unsustainable and trying to just, slam the door on what you've done in the past and switch everything around. It's unsustainable for most people, for the majority of people. So this is huge, because you've done one thing that's super good for you in so many ways. And we're going to build on that. We're going to build on that and add more things in. So that's wonderful. Congratulations. And thank you so much for sharing that. You made my day. In fact, you probably made my week.
But, and Cheryl, I think one of the big things that helped so much was my doing this little habit tracker. And I created it, and I've got a free one. I'd be glad to post the link to it if you'd like.
Please.
But it's my one thing daily habit tracker. So I just pick one thing. And then when I do it for that day, I just color in the little block. And since I like to see my blocks colored in all the whole time, I think that's helped keep me on that streak. That
is super. I'd love it if you'd post that, if you'd share that with people, Vicki. That's great. Because having visual successes, visual representations of our successes is really important, because the more we can quantify it, the more we can visualize it, the more real it becomes. And it's not this, pie in the sky kind of thing. You can look at it, and I love that they're colored blocks too. That's a really good idea. So yeah, please share that. That would be super. So everybody go into the Facebook group. I know a lot of you haven't joined yet, but please get into the Facebook group, especially now that Vicki's going to have her habit tracker in there. Thank you, Vicki. That's awesome. I'm so happy. Okay, I want to share with you. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do if you don't like water? And a lot of people don't like water. They don't like drinking it. They find it tasteless and boring, and they just can't make themselves. Okay, I get it. So let's talk about some flavored waters. And I'm going to show you one that I think would be wonderful for you all to try. And then we'll look at one that a lot of people send to me, and it's not your best choice. So let me share this. Okay. I want to talk about Hint Water for a minute. Hint Water was started it was either 2005 or 2008. And this woman in San Francisco started it because whoops, did I share this? Can you see that? Yes. Vicki, you can see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. My screen sharing skills are not always the best, but super. I'm glad you can see it. So this woman in San Francisco started Hint Water because she was unhappy with how much sugar her kids were getting in flavored waters and sodas and fruit juices and all of that. Because remember that when you drink fruit juice, It's just like drinking sugar because you don't have any of the pulp, any of the fiber in the actual fruit to slow down that sugar getting into your bloodstream. So switch out, if you want fruit, switch out fruit juice for a piece of fruit. That's just an aside. But this woman in San Francisco started Hint Water, and now it's $30 billion company or something, or $30 million company. It's huge. So it is a sugar-free beverage that combines fruit extracts with pure water. There's no artificial sweetening in there. And many people actually, when you say it's sugar-free, many people get a little amped up, and rightfully so, because when it's sugar-free, when it boasts being sugar-free, it can mean that there are artificial sweeteners in there and nasty stuff. And so these are actually the ingredients in Hint Water. They have plain Hint Water, and they have the sparkling Hint Water now, which they added. So purified water and natural flavors. And I have cautioned people against natural flavors because they can be things that, and we'll talk a little more about this in a minute, but they can be things that you don't want to ingest. However, they do call out the different fruit flavors in the on the actual labels. So much better than just natural flavors, which can be MSG, and I'll tell you about a few more things. So they have sparkling water. They also have Hint Energy, which I'm honestly not familiar with. I am familiar with the Hint Water and the sparkling water. So I like to go to Fooducate, Fooducate, and I'll put a link to that also out there for you in my next email out. But they grade foods, and I'd like to go there because not only do they grade them, but they tell you why they grade them. So let's look at Hint Water here. So it's A or above average, and the net carbs are 0. Okay, that's good. For dieters, the food points is 0, and they're calculated based on fats, carbs, fiber, and protein. If you're looking at this, you can follow along with what I'm reading here, actually. And then they have natural flavors. So natural flavors can be a caution because companies add flavors to make products taste better. They're created in a lab, and the formulations are guarded as trade secrets, so we don't always know what's in there, but they can compensate for the loss of flavor during processing. They can be a substitute for ingredients. They can lower production costs and increase shelf stability. So that's one of the caveats. You want to avoid as much stuff that's going to increase shelf stability as possible. And natural flavorings are more expensive to source than artificials, but they are better viewed by consumers. And people sensitive to MSG, again, reading from Fooducate, MSG vegans, vegetarians, and those with allergies should pay special attention to the phrase natural flavors, since glutamates, such as MSG, monosodium glutamate, animal products, or allergens may be the source of the natural flavors. Because by law, they do not have to tell us what exactly natural flavors are. And what I always say is, if they're not proud of what's in there, maybe that's why they're not calling it out. If they're saying natural flavors and it's a good thing, why wouldn't they tell us? So I like to see what's going on in there. So again, these are the ingredients in, and I believe this was the blackberry that I looked at, the blackberry Hint Water, not the sparkling water, but the Hint Water. It was purified water and natural flavors. So let's see, what else did I have for you? Yeah, there are no artificial sugars in Hint Water. So that's really good, because let's look at Nestle. This is Nestle Splash. This is the berry flavor. And I've had people send me this and say, and ask if it is a good thing for them. And I have to say, it's certainly better than having a Coke or something that's hugely sweet, but it still gets a C minus grade. And that's because it contains controversial artificial sweeteners, and it's highly processed. It has EDTA, and EDTA is on the FDA's toxicity watch list. It is a preservative, and that's to increase the shelf life. And again, I can't say this often enough. It's about preserving, if you will, their bottom line, not preserving your good health. So you have to advocate for yourself. And I want to encourage you by showing you this, that you need to turn whatever it is, whether it's a box or a bag or a bottle, you need to turn it over and look at your ingredients. Please do that. So this is the second half of that C minus grade. And talking about EDTA, again, it's a preservative to retain color, and it can it can trigger asthma. And they're studying it. The FDA is studying it for toxicity. The FDA sometimes does good things, and sometimes I heartily disagree with them. I loudly disagree with them because I don't think they come down hard enough on the processed food companies. I think they look the other way too often. That may sound hardcore, but I think our health is so important that we need to advocate for ourselves, and we need to be suspicious, and we need to check. That being said, it's really important to stay hydrated. So I want to go down here to why to avoid ACE-K. That's a tough one to pronounce. It's an artificial sweetener with 0 calories. So if you saw that, would you know that they had an artificial sweetener in there? I would not. I would think that it was seeing that it's a potassium. My assumption would be that it's some kind of an additive that might be good for my health. It's an artificial sweetener. And as we talked about yesterday, artificial sweeteners can be 200 to 20,000 times sweeter than table sugar. In this case, it's 180 to 200 times sweeter than table sugar. So safety is a concern, and it's been proven carcinogenic in several studies. Now, there are people who would say, yeah, but you have to drink a ton of it for it to become carcinogenic and for it to be a danger. But my question is, a little bit of poison here, a little bit of poison there, a little bit of poison there, it all builds up. So the better you can be with your overall food intake, the safer you can be for yourself, the better off you're going to feel, the healthier you're going to be, the lower the inflammation level is going to be in your body. And yesterday we were talking a little bit about inflammation and how that is an issue with everybody now, with sugar, with processed foods, with diabetes and pre-diabetes. The goal with regaining, reclaiming, or staying healthy is to manage the inflammation in your body. And it's a holistic thing. The sugar doesn't happen by itself. The ACE-K, which is an artificial sweetener, doesn't happen by itself. It's all connected. It's all connected. So we have to look at the big picture, and we have to design our food intake so that it is without as many additives as possible. It's as whole food as possible. And what do I mean by that? I mean as many food products as do not have a food label. So an ingredient label, let me say that. So if you have a box or a bag and it has a food ingredient label, that's different from having a bag that's labeled organic apples or a bag that's labeled peppers. And another aside for you is not everything has to be organic. It's nice. A lot of us don't do that because it's not available. It might be too expensive for our budget. I get that. I pick and choose which organic things I buy that are organic. and I will share with you the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. And I'm making a note here. I make notes on my notes, but then things come to me when I'm talking to you and I have to share them with you. And forgive me if I dump too much. I've been criticized and self-critical for wanting to share too much. I don't want to overload you. And I try to pull back, but there's so much to share. There's so much to do. And you have so much power. You have so much power. I'm going to stop sharing. You have so much power over your health, both mental and physical, if you take the reins, if you take control, and if you do what Vicky's doing, and you change one thing at a time, you get that under control, that water under control, and you push the Pepsi out, you push the other sodas out, and you get the water under control, and then you turn to something else and you add that. Small steps for big changes. That's how you're going to be the most successful. That's how you're going to affect the most change and make the biggest difference in your food. So, oh, very good. Okay, Vicki is sharing best water filtering pictures. Yes, Britta, yes. Kirkland Signature, Costco water filtration system, Pure Basic. I love Costco. Great for buying food. Pure Basic, Consumer Reports, worst water pitcher, clearly filtered, interesting, and also Clear 20. I will share this, Vicki. Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate your input. That's great. So there's some, and I love it when people jump in. This is not just me sitting here being a talking head. That's not what I ever want. I want it to be interactive. I want you to participate because this is about you. I've been on this journey for 10 years. 10 years ago, this fall, I changed radically how I eat. And it will be 10 years ago, probably next spring, early-ish, getting close to summer, that I realized I was no longer chronically depressed after having been depressed since I was 12 years old. So do I believe that doing this can make a huge difference? I have a new life. I have a new life. You know, life happens and we have challenges and we have sad days. I've had some sad days this year, but I haven't been depressed. And if you've ever been depressed, and again, this is another aside, can't help but share. If you've ever been depressed, you know what I'm talking about. There's a huge difference between being sad and appropriately sad and being depressed. It's night and day. It's not tiptoe through the tulips all the time. It's just not. So yes, I would love it if you would. I'm going to check out the link that Vicky's going to share to the daily habit tracker. I love that idea. And Vicky, if you come up with a product that's actually that, I think that would be super. And I would be more than delighted to promote that for you or with you. I think that would be a super idea. I love that. Again, if we can see our product visually, I think it's a great idea. So thank you for that. Vicki, anything else? Any questions for me? Any challenges other than water that you'd like to talk about, discuss? Anything sugar oriented or sweet oriented?
Not at this time. I know what I need to do, but there are later I wanted to, and maybe in the new course or whatever, I can get into something about medications and reactions that and the kinds of foods that will help prevent certain kinds of diseases or conditions, or that would support good health in specific ways.
Okay.
That's not very clear, but I'll
such as
okay, I have a liver condition.
Okay.
So I need to think about, okay, what are some foods that will help support my liver to function as well as it can under conditions that I am that I have at this point.
Okay. We can certainly go into that. Absolutely. I have an interesting book on liver cleanses that I've had on my desk, and I haven't really addressed it. So that will inspire me to take a look at that and kind of absorb, other than the general suggestions I would have. See if there's anything I can pinpoint for you or help pinpoint for you. I'd be happy to do that, Vicki, for sure.
And autoimmune conditions and how food can help with those kinds of things too.
Yeah. I think the answer is, I mean, there can be specific foods. I think the answer to everything is reducing the inflammation in your body. And
Right.
I think, have you had a CRP test, a C-reactive protein
No,
test?
but I did ask my primary care person about that the last time, and she was going to check into it. And that she said that if I was, in fact, I see her in October. She said if I was still interested, that she would try to get that for me.
Yay, do it. Absolutely do
Okay.
it. And if you get pushback, argue. You have to advocate for yourself. And when I got my CRP test, my PCP said to me, Cheryl, you don't need it. The way you eat, you don't have a high level of inflammation. I said, I don't care. I want a baseline. She said, you don't need it. I don't care. This went on for 10 minutes, and fine, I wouldn't give up. Because, dealing with my dad with Parkinson's and my mom with dementia, and having to advocate for them with their doctors and hospitals and all of that, over the years, I've learned you got to fight, you got to push back. So I argued with her for 10 minutes, and she finally said, all right, I'm not going to fight with you. You can have it. So she gave me the test, and it turned out that she was right. My level of inflammation was not high. But the thing is, now I've got a baseline. So if I have to have an argument with my PCP every 5 years to check and see how I'm doing relative to that baseline,
Yeah.
I don't mind. I think it's a good idea. You got to know where you are now just to then make changes and see what those changes do. So I think everybody should actually have a CRP test, and again, advocate for yourself.
Well, my PCP said that she would check into it because she wasn't sure about the cost and whether she could actually, request it, but that she would do it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And I told her that we would talk about it again when I see her, and that's in October.
Okay, good. I suspect that she can do it. You may have to push because they don't like to, because insurance doesn't like to pay for stuff, as we know. But,
Right.
Don't give up, and see if you can push for it, Vicki, really.
Okay, I will.
Just go in with your attitude on.
I can do it.
Girl power.
Right.
Okay, anything else? Thank you for sharing that.
Nope.
Okay. All right, super. Well, I guess we'll wrap up for today. This is day 4. We have one more day. And please check out the Facebook group. And also, if you take a look at Preempt, prediabetes.com, that is the website for the course that I've put together to have it be a continuation of support for you on this journey. 5 days isn't enough. It's enough for you to start wrapping your head around what you need to do to manage diabetes if you're full-blown type 2 diabetic already, or to back off from prediabetes. You can back off from prediabetes. Type 2 is mostly management, although I can say that I know a couple of people who, with a variety of different tools, food and fasting, have been able to back off of that too. So it's a way for you to get ongoing support. And a week from tomorrow, I will have a short introductory meeting, an introductory session, because I don't want to go too long between this week and when we start in October. So check it out, Preempt, prediabetes.com, and there's a $50 off coupon that is there for the people who have joined us, who have signed up for the challenge this week. And that's good until through midnight on Friday night. So thank you so much for being here, Vicki. So awesome to have you here. And thank you for your generosity in sharing your experiences, challenge and triumphs. I really appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl.
This is Cheryl A. Major, and this has been day 4 of the Preempt Pre-Diabetes 5-Day Challenge. I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.